Next we have a question which says, a pea seed is planted in a pot containing soil and provided with the ideal conditions for germination. Then, the pot is left in a dark room for 10 days. It also mentions that figure 1.1 shows the appearance of the germinating seed on different days, day 1, day 4, and day 10. Part A says, describe the conditions required for seeds to germinate. Now, this is asking us to recall the basic requirements needed for a seed to start growing. And, the answer is seeds require warm conditions, water, and oxygen in order to germinate. Warmth allows enzymes to work properly, water activates the seed and starts metabolic processes, and oxygen is needed for respiration to release energy for growth. Then the next part says, figure 1.1 shows that the seed changes between day 1 and day 4. Describe these changes and explain how they happen. In simple terms, this is asking us to explain what physical and internal changes occur in the seed during early germination and why they occur. The answer for this is, during germination, the seed absorbs water, causing it to increase in size and volume. This activates enzymes, which digest stored foods such as starch, proteins, and lipids into simpler substances. These are then used in respiration to release energy for growth. The seed coat softens and splits, allowing the radicle, which is embryonic root, to grow out. So, water intake starts all the internal processes, enzymes break down stored food, energy is released, and the first visible growth is the radicle emerging from the seed. Next, Part C says, figure 1.1 shows that after 10 days the structures labeled X and Y have developed from parts of the seed. Then Part 1 asks, name the part of the seed that X has developed from. So here, we need to identify the origin of structure X. The answer is X has developed from the embryo. This means that the embryo is the young plant inside the seed, and it develops into the main structures of the plant. Then Part 2 says, the seed is germinating in darkness. Explain what causes X and Y to grow in opposite directions. In simple understanding, this is asking about the growth responses of roots and shoots. The answer is X is the shoot or plumule which shows negative gravitropism and grows away from gravity, while Y is the root or radicle which shows positive gravitropism and grows towards gravity. This means that even in darkness, the plant responds to gravity, the root grows downward towards gravity to anchor the plant and absorb water, while the shoot grows upward away from gravity to eventually reach light. Now we are back to MCQs. The first one says, which statement about nuclear division is correct? Now, meiosis produces variation because the daughter cells are not identical, which is important for sexual reproduction, so, the correct answer is B, meiosis results in genetically different daughter cells. Next, we have the question, stem cells are found in human embryos. Which statements about stem cells are correct? The statements given are, stem cells are unspecialized cells. Stem cells can divide by mitosis. Stem cells are haploid. This means that stem cells are unspecialized and can divide by mitosis, but they are not haploid, they are diploid, so the correct answer is B, 1 and 2 only. Next, in the placenta, which substance passes from the blood of the embryo to the blood of the mother down a concentration gradient? This means that carbon dioxide diffuses from the embryo's blood into the mother's blood because it is at a higher concentration in the embryo. The correct answer is B, carbon dioxide. Next, what is the main function of the prostate gland? This means that the prostate gland adds fluid to semen, helping sperm to move easily. The correct answer here is C, producing a liquid in which the sperm can swim. Next, the graph shows the changes in levels of 4 hormones during the menstrual cycle. Which line represents progesterone? This means progesterone levels rise after ovulation and help maintain the uterine lining, so, the correct answer is C. Now moving to more MCQs, the first one says, the diagram shows one of the endocrine glands in the human body, labeled X. Which hormone is produced by endocrine gland X? This means that the gland shown is likely the pituitary gland, which produces luteinizing hormone, so, the correct answer is C, luteinizing hormone. Next, a muscle cell from a horse contains 64 chromosomes. How many chromosomes are there in a sperm cell from a horse? This means that sperm cells are haploid and contain half the number of chromosomes compared to body cells. The correct answer is B, 32. Next, the diagrams show the fruits of some plants. Which fruit uses wine to disperse its seeds? This means that the fruit shown in option A has structures like wings or hairs that allow it to be carried by the wind. The correct answer is A. Next, sperm cells are stored in a laboratory before they can be used in artificial insemination. Substances added to the sperm cells for storage have been shown to damage the acrosomes. This leads to reduction in fertility. Which statement describes why reduction in fertility may happen? The correct answer is B, the sperm cells cannot penetrate the egg cells. This means that the acrosome contains enzymes needed to break through the egg, so if it is damaged, fertilization cannot occur. Finally, the hormones that control the menstrual cycle are released in varying amounts during the cycle. During pregnancy, menstruation is prevented and there are no eggs developed or released. What would be the levels of hormones FSH, LH and progesterone during pregnancy? The correct answer is B. This means that during pregnancy, FSH and LH levels remain low to stop further egg development, while progesterone remains high to maintain the uterine lining and support the pregnancy. Next question is, the castor oil plant is a flowering plant which produces seeds. It further says, the seeds have an additional structure called an oil body that contains oil. Figure 5.1 shows a castor oil seed with its oil body, and mentions parts like tester and oil body. Part A says, the tester protects the seed contents from environmental damage, and asks, name parts of the seed protected by the tester and describe their functions. So, this question is asking us to identify the important internal parts of a seed that are protected by the tester, which is the outer covering, and then explain what each of those parts does during germination and growth. And the answer we'll write is, the tester protects several parts of the seed. The cotyledons store food such as starch to provide energy during germination. The embryo develops into a new plant. The radicle grows into the root and helps in absorbing water, while the plumule grows into the shoot or stem, which will carry out photosynthesis. This means that the tester acts as a protective layer, keeping all the important structures inside safe. The cotyledons act as a food store, the embryo is the young plant, the radicle forms the root system for water absorption, and the plumule develops into the shoot, which will eventually make food by photosynthesis. We have a new question now. It says, the average length of pregnancy in an adult human is 40 weeks. A human mother may give birth to her baby before the end of the usual length of pregnancy. It then explains, this is known as a premature birth, and asks, suggest why babies born prematurely are at higher risk of developing some infectious diseases than babies born after 40 weeks of pregnancy. In simple understanding, this question is asking us to think about how a baby develops inside the womb and why being born early can affect its ability to fight infections. We need to link this with the immune system and protection given by the mother during pregnancy. The answer is babies born prematurely are at higher risk of developing infectious diseases because they receive fewer antibodies across the placenta, so their immune system is less prepared to fight infections. This means that during the later stages of pregnancy, antibodies pass from the mother to the baby through the placenta, helping to protect the baby after birth. If the baby is born too early, it does not receive enough of these antibodies, so its immune system is weaker and less able to fight infections. Part 2 says, suggest one action that a mother can take to protect her premature baby from infection in the weeks after birth. And the answer is, to protect a premature baby from infection, the mother can breastfeed the baby or ensure the baby receives vaccinations. This means that breastfeeding provides antibodies from the mother, which help protect the baby, and vaccinations help the baby develop its own immunity against specific diseases, reducing the risk of infections.